Shalom, Kol Halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them, that taught us is true. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers that are pushing the word in truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. All right, I'm the brother Yashawan, and last night I had a dream, and I wanted to share the dream with the Akim and the few Aquath that are listening and learning. All right, and I don't usually have dreams, or when I do, I can't remember them. But I do remember this dream, or parts of it. Okay, and the name of this video, or this lesson, or this dream, I want to call it. I want to call it "Straighten Up and Fly Right." Okay, because in the dream, I was flying. Okay. And I wasn't just flying. The dream started out, I was on the golf course with a couple of friends, and we were playing golf. And there was an Edomite, and he was like tending to the golf course. He was like, fixing things and moving holes like they do. Usually you got Issachar out there doing it, but this was an Edomite. And the Edomite, as he was working, all right, he kept looking at me like I didn't belong on the golf course. And this goes on the golf course. You got Edomites out there looking down their nose at you. So the Edomite was kind of, snarling at me and giving me funny faces. And it started to get on my nerves. And so I remember thinking, I'll show you, you damn devil, right? So at that point, because what was going through my mind is that we're so much better than you, all right? And you got to understand that the golf course actually represents the plantation, okay? And when you see a little jockey in front of a cracker's house, right? You got a little jockey, a black gnome out there in front of the house, or a little jockey, right? Or they got those things out in front of the house, right? And that represents us being slaves. We were like a caddy, for example. A caddy is one of your slaves, right? Who's handing you clubs and actually, he's actually better than the golfer himself, and he's telling you how to play the hole and things of that nature. Okay. And when Tiger Woods was out there playing, he had a Edomite for a caddy. So that was ushering in us being, when I say us, I mean Israel, being in rulership, and this caveman being in his rightful place. Okay, which is a caddy or a jockey or whatever. So anyway, this Edomite who was basically the gardener, he was still trying to act as though he was better, right? And that he was above. And it was clear that his kingdom was falling because of the position that he was in and the position that I was in. So I got tired of him giving me funny looks. So I said, I'll show you. And even though I knew I had never flown before, right? I said, I'm gonna muster up all the courage and faith that I have right now, and I'm gonna fly in front of this devil. So I remember, focusing real hard and trying to take off. And what happened is I remember jumping as high as I could. I jumped, and as I jumped, right at the point where you're about to start coming down, I didn't start coming down. I just kept slowly rising up, and I'm like, oh, it occurred to me, I'm like, wow, I'm doing this. I'm I'm actually doing it. And the problem was I didn't know how. I didn't know how to fly. This was my first time trying to fly, and this was my first time actually flying. I mean, when you're alone, sometimes Akim are alone, and you might try to see if you got it. When nobody's looking, you might give a little jump. You come down and you go, it's not time yet. Well, in the dream, it was more than that because I was mad, and I was like, I'm about to fly in front of this damn devil. And what happened is I forgot all about him. As soon as I realized that I wasn't coming down right away and it wasn't just an attempt, that I was actually doing it, my concentration went straight to, how do you do this? I have to gain control of that. It's working. How do I maintain it? How do I stay up? And then immediately I realized that I don't know how to do this. And my main thought throughout the whole dream was, as soon as I took off, I was like, I have to learn how to do this. This is going to take some time. It's going to take some practice. Okay? So once I got going and I was still in the air, what happened was I was upside down. I was like on my back and I was flying backwards. Right? Even though I was flying, but I didn't quite know how to do it. Again, this was my first time. So I was concentrating on staying aloft, staying in the air, but I was on my back, I was flying backwards, so I couldn't see where I was going. I was trying to look over my shoulder and see where I was going and trying to figure it out the whole time. And I was flying pretty good. I got up to a nice altitude, but I was still flying upside down and backwards. And then I started worrying about if I was going to run into a building or a tree or anything of that nature. I was like, I got to get the hang of this. It's going to take some time. I kept thinking that this is harder than I thought. Although I'm doing it, I got to learn how to do this correctly so that I'm in full control of what I'm doing. And it kept, playing over in my mind, it's going to take time and practice. Okay? So really, it's a mental thing, and you have to train yourself. You have to think it into existence, so to speak. Okay? So, and that was the issue. The issue of the dream was you have to learn how to do this. You have to teach yourself through trial and error, through practice. You have to get a hold of this. Otherwise, you're gonna, you can't see where you're going. You're gonna run into something. Hence the title, Straighten Up and Fly Right. Okay. So I remember when I was up there, I'm like, well, I'm kind of getting the hang of it, but I'm still upside down going backwards. But I do remember looking around. Once I got a little comfortable, I was looking around and I started seeing other brothers flying. There was quite a few other brothers that were flying, and I couldn't see them up close or recognize who they were, but I did see them out there and they were flying too. I didn't know how well they were doing. I was having to concentrate on what I was doing. But what I do remember clearly is at one point I saw Superman. Okay, and I know it sounds crazy. Don't know what he looked like. I don't know if he was black or white, but I sensed right away. I'm like, well, that's Superman. And Superman had full control of his flying. Okay, and we all know that Superman, Kal-El, represents Yahweh Shai. Okay, all right, and his dad, Jor-El, represents the Most High. If I got that right. Okay, might be the other way around, but from what I understand, I got to go look. And if I'm wrong, brother, correct me in the comments section. But Kal-El I believe is Yahweh Shai. All right, and so I remember seeing him, and he was flying, and I remember thinking to myself, well, I need to be able to fly like that. There's my example, right? And then there were some other things that were going on in the dream, but the main point again was me having to learn and to practice and to get control over what I was doing. You know? So, and then there were some other parts to the dream, like I remember, um, being in this warehouse, and I wasn't flying at the time, but I was in a warehouse, and there was a bunch of Edomites that were lined up, and they were in line to receive a jetpack so that they could fly, because they couldn't fly naturally on their own. So they were putting on these jetpacks, and they were, they were flying. I remember them going and being all excited to go out and fly with the aid of a jetpack. And that's right about when the dream started fading, because I was like, well, I don't need no damn jetpack. I don't need a jetpack to fly. I need to get out here and rehearse this thing and figure out and gain control of what I'm doing. Okay? So, and in the spirit, I believe that the whole dream has to do with, you got to straighten up and be on fire, really, and fly, and so that you're able to fly right. And I mean that in the cliche, right? Because it's a cliche. Straighten up and fly right. There's a song, straighten up and fly right. But it figuratively and literally, that was the crux of the dream. Because the time, right? We're in the time of mounting up with wings as eagles, right? It really reminded me of Hancock, because when you watch the movie Hancock in the beginning, he's kind of he's not really in control of his flying. He's and he's a little drunk and right? He's running into buildings and running into shit and taking down buildings and stuff. He's flying a little erratically, right? Not upside down and backwards, but and then towards the end of the movie, he had more control over his flying, his takeoff, his landing, because they told him, look, you can't just be putting holes in the cement wherever you go. You gotta have some finesse at what you're doing. You have to have control over your flying, right? And then by the end of the movie, he had become the hero. So that's where this thing is going. And I'll go ahead and close with a couple of precepts. Let's see. This is Isaiah 59 and 19. All right, letting you know that spiritual power is near, because they are about to roll on us. All right. So this is Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. All right? And that standard means to be able to flee away, to disappear, right? To flee away, to escape. Right? Now, if there was a bunch of a contingent coming against you, and you could just mount up and you know, rise above them, right? Or to disappear. That's that spiritual power. All right, and to be able to fly is spiritual power. All right. All right, we'll get one more. This is Isaiah 40 and 31. And let's start at 30. It's a pretty exciting dream because I don't usually have. Let's start at 28. Isaiah 40 and 28. Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard that the everlasting power, the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. All right? So with that, I hope that this dream interpretation was uplifting and edifying to the hopeful elect, the Tabernacle of David, you Akim and Akwath, you few Akwath that are out there listening and learning. With that, we're going to say shalom.